Beecher's cheese started in 2003 in the Pike Place Market, right?
Yes.
And in the last 11 years, that's quite a breakthrough because Beecher's is world famous. Everybody I know loves Beecher's cheese. Really. It's an amazing story that's super fast and incredibly successful. That's involved in, there's cows, there's pigs, there's New York, there's Seattle, there's the Pike Place Market. There's educating kids on how to eat healthy and what goes into your food and understanding how food is made, which is super cool. And I think that's probably how your passion got started, is what goes into food and what makes food good, from what I understand. And your grandmother? Grandfather. Beecher's. Right, I'll leave it up to you, Kurt. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kurt. So, I was telling the people down front, Brian and I were on a panel somewhere in King County, some kind of government thing, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And looking at the pictures, his boats have gotten a lot bigger. Our cheeses are the same size still. So Sugar Mountain is the name of my company, and it is kind of my second chapter in life. I had a family company that grew well and was sold. Age 38, I got a chance to go out and make my own way in the world, and I founded Sugar Mountain. It's named after the Neil Young song, Sugar Mountain. For those of you who know what that song's about, the message I take out of it is that if you're having fun, you'll never grow old. And that was the base plan for my company. So most of you know us for Beechers. We have quite a bit of somebody in the paper the other day, they referred to it as an empire. And I thought, wow, that's strong. But we have a couple of restaurants. Bennett's and Liam's is brand new in University Village. Venerable Pasta and Company. The pig-shaped food truck, Maximus Minimus, which is probably my favorite. We have a restaurant in New York called The Cellar. New to us is a meat and fish company, including a Wagyu beef brand, so really, really incredible steaks. And then our flagship foundation, which is 1% of all of our thing going. Well, can you guys all hear me without that?
No.
Okay.
It works.
It works?
Yeah.
I'll talk about it. Can you hear me for a minute while without that? Yeah. Okay, so the Flagship Foundation, 1% of the sales of all of our businesses go to support the Flagship Foundation, and its sole mission is this Pure Food Kids Workshop. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But it basically educates kids on the evils of processed food. So kind of a timeline. Oh, fresh batteries. A timeline on our company. Started in 1999 and started Beecher's in 2003. It's kind of fun. I don't know if you've all been down there and seen it. It's kind of fun for me to stand outside and listen to people who walk by, because everybody walks by and says something, and there's so many people who walk by and say, "Oh God, I've been coming to this place since I was a kid." Right. Or people who walk by and think we're brewing beer. It's pretty interesting. We had some pretty nice milestones in the Beecher's world. The first one was I got to go on the Martha Stewart show and make our mac and cheese, which was pretty fun. Actually, I did that twice. Pre-jail Martha and post-jail Martha. Post-jail Martha was a lot more humble, a little nicer than pre-jail Martha. And then, of course, a giant factor for our company was Oprah declared that our mac and cheese was one of her ultimate favorite things and gave it away to her audience on the big show. And people were always asking me, so was that good for business? Yeah. Yeah, it was good for business. We also won a Best in Show award at the American Cheese Society, which is, that sounds small, American Cheese Society, but it's actually big. There was 1,700 or 1,800 cheeses in this competition, and it was in 2002, and in 2012, our flagship cheese won the Best in Show. And unfortunately, I wasn't there to get the award. It was really like one of my few regrets of my life is I wasn't there. We just opened in SeaTac Airport. I don't know if you've all been there. It's like, I eat there all the time. It's pretty good. I like the food, and it's doing really, really well. People are enjoying it. You like?
Is that the sheep cheese right here?
That is not the sheep cheese. I'm sorry.
Is this flagship? Not flagship. Flagship.
That's flagship. A few other things. So I'm going to talk about what is important to us as a company and how I think about managing our company to communicate our message. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and there'll be some time for question and answers if there's interest. So the 7 things, and somebody asked me, I gave this talk just not long ago, and somebody asked me when I was done with it, so when did you write that? Did you like think it up and then do it? No. Somebody asked me to give a talk, and what we did is sat down and looked backwards and said, what have we been doing? And so that's really what this is. So what do we think our brands need to be? And the number one about a brand, especially an artisan brand, the ultimate thing you're trying to build in any brand is trust. And trust is really probably the only thing that matters in a brand. In fact, that is what brand is for. That's why people build a brand, so people can come to know you and trust your products when they encounter them in an unfamiliar place. That's what, if you look at successful brands, McDonald's was one of the first ones like that, where they built this brand where you knew what that burger was going to taste like. And as weird as it says to say it today, we trusted McDonald's. We trusted McDonald's to deliver exactly what we thought, wherever we've encountered them, whether it was Japan, Saudi Arabia, or Tukwila. And today, probably the biggest beneficiary of that kind of brand building, of course, is Starbucks. Where, coffee. Coffee's great. Lots of coffee's great. Lots of muffins are great. But yet Starbucks delivers that very predictable, very trustworthy cup of coffee, and that's why we go there. It's because we trust them. For us, trust, I think about trust requiring transparency and full honesty. And when we talk about what we're going to do in our business, I always think about the fact that trust is one of those things that you can never abuse. That once you lose trust, it's so difficult to gain it back. And so it's the guiding light for everything we do. Of course, the making our cheese behind glass, right in the middle of the city, is basically full frontal allegory for trust. And so that helps, because everybody who sees us making cheese there instantly trusts the fact that we show them how it's made. Second thing for me, in my old business was a printing business, printing businesses are pretty boring. And I found out early that if I could ever get someone to come tour our plant and see our machines and meet our people and have an experience, that they would buy very easily. And so I've translated that to our food businesses, and we're not the only ones, right? There's lots of food businesses which try hard to be experiential. It's why people like Din Tai Fung, which, have you all been to Din Tai Fung? There's just giant lines outside. It's not the best food in the world. It just looks cool, and it's kind of fun to see those ladies working at it. Of course, kitchens and restaurants where you can see allows you to feel participatory with that. For us, the ability to go into our factories and buy cheese, taste cheese, talk to our people, that's the experience. They are our Nike town. We also create an experience for anybody who ever contacts us. This isn't so many people, I couldn't share this. Everybody who ever contacts us, whether it's positive or negative, we give a little something to. Everybody who asks us for a donation to their school auction, to their charity, we always say yes. We always reward anybody who takes the time to reach out to us. As a consumer brand, people come to think they know you in a way like actors get that thing where people think they know them. And so we want people to feel that way, and so when they contact us, we reward that contact by giving them something. We always assume our customers are intelligent, and not every business does, but the kind of products that we sell are the kinds of products that tend to skew toward higher, more intelligent people. And so when we do things, we always make assumptions that our customers will get it. And I always like to do kind of little in-jokes. It's people like to have to work a little bit. And one of the examples is our No Woman cheese. Of course, it's got Jamaican spices in it, and so it's named No Woman after No Woman, No Cry, Bob Marley. But we get a lot of people who are kind of pissed off that it's, no woman. But by the same token, you get people who get it instantly when they see it, and they love that feeling of kind of being on the inside. And we're very willing to lose the people who don't get it and have a deeper emotional connection to the people who do. We try to be remarkable, and I use that term remarkable in the idea that we want people to remark about what we do. You've probably all heard the saying, when a dog bites a man, no one cares, but when a man bites a dog, it's a big deal. And we try to bite a lot of dogs. But the idea of being remarkable is we want to do things that seem out of the ordinary, so people will talk about it. We've never had, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. For 3 months in 2006, we had a PR agency. And it was the only time ever that no one ever wrote anything about us. People are always asking me, who's your PR agent? Oh my God. And there isn't anyone. We just try to do things that people would want to write about, like make a pig-shaped truck is obviously one. And it can't be, in our parlance, it can't be unbelievable or ridiculous or really stupid. It has to be kind of cool. And so when we decided to make a pig-shaped truck, we said, well, it can't be pink and porky and kind of funny looking. The actual verbiage that we used was, it has to be an urban assault pig. It has to seem like something that might be on Mad Max or something like that, where people would go, oh, that is cool. Now that is a cool pig. And that's what we get. And the food truck business is not a very great business, but it's psychically so worth it to me. I love seeing people taking pictures of that pig. We just opened in Manhattan, on the corner of 20th and Broadway, one of the highest profile places on the planet. And we pay an incredible amount of rent. And that's a little bit of a man bites dog kind of thing. People can't believe that we do that. And so that works out well. But it can also be as simple as packaging. Our flagship cheese, we early on came up with this triangle shape, which is more expensive. And most people, when they're making cheese, would say, well, you've got to do it in the cheapest way. And so the cheapest way is to cut it into squares. But squares don't work very well, and every other cheese is in squares. And so we came up with this triangle shape, which has become our signature shape and has worked out really well in that kind of remarkable category. Then consistently good is I mean, I suppose that's obvious, but it's not what everybody in the world does. On our cheese, we rate every vat. We have a tasting panel that tastes every vat of cheese before it's released to distribution, and we rate it 1 through 5. 1 means it's not good enough to be sold, period. 2 means it's not good enough to be sold as flagship. 3 means it's good, it's flagship. 4 is it's great flagship, and 5 is ship it to my house. We were kind of lucky / smart, and then we developed this product, our mac and cheese, where the 2s, once you cook them and add spices, any kind of a bitter note or something goes away. So we can take any cheese that we wouldn't necessarily, that is good, but not great, and we can make mac and cheese out of it. Full flavored, again, this is kind of like intelligent. We always err in all of our restaurants, everywhere that we do food, it's always going to be full flavored. If someone's going to complain, they might think maybe it was too spicy, a little too peppery, has too much herb, maybe a little too much salad dressing. I'll risk those complaints over the complaint of somebody who thinks it's bland. For the most part, everyone loves it, but I'll risk too spicy for not bland. And then charity. Transparency for us means that, and in today's world, I think that customers want to get to know a company at a deep level. And they want to know I think, and I do anyway, you want to know the soul of the company. You want to know what the people are like, what the values of the company are. And so right when we founded Beecher's, decided to contribute 1% of all the sales to a cause that I felt made sense for the brand and made a lot of sense to me. And that was this idea of educating children about the evils of food additives and processed food. I believe passionately that the rise in processed food and food additives is the causal correlation to the rise in Western disease. And and I have a long story about that, but I don't have time for that today. So right from the start, we decided we would contribute 1% of our sales, not our profits, of sales, to that cause. And we tried for about a year to just give it away to somebody, and we couldn't find anybody who was doing what we thought was an adequate job of this mission. And so what we ended up doing was just forming our own charity, and we have about 12 instructors now that go out into I think we have, okay, so here's a slide that kind of talks about it, and then here's a slide about the Pure Food Kids Workshop. So 1% of all of our sales go to support this workshop. And thank you. Well, our basic premise here is that, I remember when I was a kid, they went into schools and taught us how awful smoking was. That's where they first went after cigarettes, was in grade schools, right? And I can remember going home and going to my parents and going, "What? Why do you smoke? I just found out how awful this is." And I would like hide their cigarettes and do all this stuff. And so I remember that. And so we developed this strategy that we can't trust the government to police our food system. Our biggest weapon as people to get great food made for us is our dollar votes, right? if we buy what is healthy for us, guess what will get made? More of that and less of the bad stuff. And so our basic premise was that we could alter the demand curve for unhealthy food by educating 4th and 5th graders as little Trojan horses into the family that would alter the demand for bad food. And it's funny, and we use like 6 different foods as part of this workshop, and we have the kids. We teach them how the front of a thing basically lies to them. You know, that blueberries doesn't mean blueberries, and that things that look healthy on the front oftentimes really aren't. And then we show them on the back how to figure out what's really in the food. And then in the end, we teach them how to make this chili, a veggie chili. And it's the funniest thing. It's a weird little peer pressure thing where we have the team of students all working together, and they cut up yellow peppers and green peppers and tomatoes and cilantro and all these things that probably 65% of them would never eat in a million years. But because they're working together as a team, they make this chili, then they all eat it. It's like a weird little psych experiment. And we're starting to get now multi-year data back from, this is about 6 years, from parents that reports that like 65% of families have altered their purchases of food based on this workshop. Just like phenomenal data that we really went way beyond our expectations, which is pretty exciting. And at this point, we're now in about half of the schools in what I call the Puget Sound Food Shed, which is the purchasing group for this distribution area. And many of the foods that we used as bad examples in the early parts of this program are now out of distribution. Like Yogos and Allison, what are the couple of other ones? I mean, there's, yeah, Yogos, like we used them for like 3 or 4 years and all of a sudden we couldn't buy them anymore. So this is my most proud thing. Like, I feel like we're really making an impact in what food is being sold in our market area. So that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I just am interested in the work your foundation was. I mean, there's been all kinds of efforts for the last 20 years to teach people about the food pyramid or the new food pyramid. And it hasn't stuck. Why do you think your approach has been so successful with kids?
Well, first of all, the food pyramid is bullshit. Everything the government tells you, all you know about it is it will soon be found out to be wrong, right? So the government tells you what to eat. What we try to do is get people excited about figuring out what they should eat, what they want to eat, right? We want to get them to be their own judges. The government, I mean, that food pyramid is all lobbyists and people, you know, the wheat people need to get their portion of the food pyramid, and then the beef people got to get on. And it's just bullshit. And the government, I just don't believe the government will ever be able to be out in front. And demand is our only weapon. And so why did we do it? Our plan is to go very different from most other places. Even like Jamie Oliver or like Alice Waters, those kinds of programs are all, they're a mile deep and an inch wide. They go to a school or 2 schools, and they try to make deep fundamental change in that school. And we've consciously gone the opposite way. We go an inch deep and a mile wide. What we're trying to do is spark interest. We're not trying to give somebody the plan of what they should do. We're trying to enlighten them that they need to figure this out. And it parallels back to my own deal. When I was probably like 25 years ago, I had a cold, and I decided I have a cold. I need to go get something really healthy, and I'm thinking, of course, soup. soup's really good. So I went to this Chinese restaurant and I got hot and sour soup, and I ate it down and it tasted so good. And then the next day I felt worse, and I need more soup. I went back, got more soup, and then this happened 5 days in a row. Kept going back for hot and sour soup. And at the end of those 5 days, I thought I had a brain tumor. I mean, it was awful. I was just like in a corner, light hurt my eyes. It was awful. And someone said to me, well, have you ever considered that maybe you're allergic to MSG? And that was the first time I'd ever even thought about the idea that the food system could deliver something to me that might be bad for me. And that was like the first string on the sweater. I started pulling and figured out that not only do they, but in you know, okay, the cigarette companies are really bad, but some of the huge food companies have similar kinds of thinking and motivations that the cigarette companies have. They're not there to help us get great food.
So the loft, can you explain? That's a very different kind
The loft?
Yeah, that's a very different thing. So what is that? I've looked at it. I'd love to.
You've been to it?
I have not been to it.
It's the coolest hotel room in Seattle, and it's a condo right up above Beecher's, like so literally above Sur La Table, and it's a 1,500 square foot condo that is rented as a hotel room through the Inn at the Market. And our Beecher's building is a condo, a commercial condo, and I ended up buying this because there was a guy, it was for sale, and we already owned part of the building. We thought we should go buy more of it, and then decided to make this condo. And it's really cool. I have this vision that, you know, Bono and Bill Clinton are going to be staying there. Yes?
Yeah, I love that you own your own house. I love that, and I really love to see you own sheep and goats, that you could bring these kinds of cheeses to us that kind of have a little problem with cow milk. There's never no goat milk and sheep milk in the world.
We sell a lot of goat cheeses and sheep cheeses at Beecher's.
Yeah, but I mean, in your experiential, I could come in and watch how you might make them. You know what I mean?
You can. They're made similarly, and you can taste them at our place. The part of when I decided to open Beecher's, so I came at it totally backwards from most people. Most people make cheese because they have a herd and they have extra milk. They don't know what to do with it. I had a passion for cheese and enough money from my previous company to start a company. And I consciously tried to put myself in an area of the business where I wouldn't be competing against really small, tiny producers. I consciously went into an area where we were competing more with like Tillamook than with Ma and Pa Kettle or Sally Jackson, yeah. And so sheep cheese and goat cheese is typically where those kinds of people are.
Excuse me. From a strategic perspective, excuse me, what are your 2 or 3 challenges you see in the next few years? What is something you're really focusing on that really are might keep you up at night?
Well, if you're in the food business, food safety always has to be number one.
I suspect.
I mean, we take it very seriously, more seriously than any other company I know of our scale in this business. But you always worry that that something will happen. So that's my number one thing is food safety. I think that this whole I've been talking about it for a long time. That income inequality is the issue of our age, I think, in the U.S. And I guess I'm proud that Seattle is on the forefront of this issue. I hope we deal with it in a way that doesn't scare everyone off. But I think that income inequality is a huge issue for society and certainly for food service providers, which typically will have entry-level jobs. Number three, I think just this whole idea of our food is killing us. That we've got to get our food and our ability to buy food. And so I also don't go after this, like, so many people think about the idea from like a farm to table kind of a thing. And I think farm to table is incredible. But we live and our foundation works in the world where we'd like to convert some kid from Flamin' Hot Cheetos to Lay's potato chips, because that is a great trade, right? Or we'd like to convert that kid from Powerade to water. That's the world that we really are trading in, not so much about farm to table. And then of course, lastly, I'd say right now, food in general is probably leading the inflationary trail. And global warming, if it happens at a fast pace, will affect our food costs and food availability faster than anything.
You're talking about food. I think it's interesting because there's not many people that are like promoting or running ads for like healthy food or good options. It's all the other food companies that are promoting that stuff. So I'm really glad that you're championing that and also educating people on it. Good job.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for coming tonight. And thanks for applauding when we talked about the cheese.